Hi, this is my decision-making presentation based off of the personality assessment. To start, just a brief introduction. My name's Colleen Corcoran. I'm a sophomore, and I'm currently majoring in communications and minoring in fashion here at Arizona State University. I work as a front desk receptionist at the Greek Leadership Community Center here at ASU, and I'm also the VP of Finance and Housing in my sorority, Alpha Phi. Moving right along to the assessment results. According to the NERIS Type Explorer assessment, I'm an NFJT, or also known as the advocate. This type of personality is introverted, intuitive, feeling, judging, and turbulent. They tend to have a combination of idealism and insight, and often have a wide variety of complex emotions, vivid imagination, and empathy, which allows them to connect profoundly with others. They also have the natural ability to interpret and understand the feelings and motivations of others, which can be viewed as both a gift or a challenge. They also have the ability to form deep, meaningful connections and offer invaluable support to their peers, but they can be torn between a desire to help and a need for some privacy and personal space in their lives. They usually can be described as insightful, principled, and driven by a deep sense of purpose, and often will tend to approach decisions with empathy and long-term thinking, looking at the overall bigger picture and how it's going to affect things in the long term rather than just the short-term effects. INFJTs are also motivated by values and the potential to make a positive difference in the world. So looking at my results a little more closely, we have the 5 different characteristics of this personality: introversion, intuition, feeling, judging, and turbulence. I got a 53% in introverted, a 60% in intuitive, a 57% in feeling, a 72% in judging, and a 75% in turbulent. So kind of breaking those down: introverted, likely preferring fewer yet deeper and more meaningful social interactions, and I feel drawn to calmer environments. Next up, intuition. This means likely being more imaginative and open-minded, likely focusing on the hidden meanings and distant possibilities in the future rather than just the present. Feeling. This means that they likely value emotional expression and sensitivity, prioritizing things like empathy, social harmony, and cooperation in their lives. Think of that people pleaser almost. And next, judging. So being more organized, decisive, and thorough, valuing structure and planning over a spur-of-the-moment spontaneity, liking that plan, that structure, not really liking the crazy, on-the-spot thinking. And then finally, we have turbulence. This is going to be more on the self-conscious side. You might be sensitive to stress, success-driven, and more of a perfectionist and eager to improve. So kind of looking at this in a workplace standpoint, I can definitely see how it relates. Perfectionist tendencies definitely tend to drive me to constantly improve myself in the world around me. This relentless pursuit of growth and meaning can definitely be both exhilarating but exhausting and can lead to things like burnout. I know for me personally, I have a knack for seeing potential and possibilities where others might not, but I do struggle to bring my visionary ideas into reality due to self-consciousness, self-doubt, and a very big fear of criticism from others. I noticed that I possess a rare combination of creativity and analytical ability. I like both sides of the spectrum. And this intuitive understanding of complex systems and human nature can allow me to devise innovative solutions to challenging problems. However, that sensitivity to criticism and tendency to internalize stress can definitely hold me back from fully expressing my unique gifts. So now that we've gone over the results, whether or not I agree or disagree with them, I would definitely say I agree, but only to a certain extent. I do definitely think that I reflect on my choices very thoroughly, and I like to analyze how they're going to impact others, not just myself, which reflects the feeling and intuitive traits of INFJT. Next, I also tend to second guess myself in my well thought out decisions a lot, which shows that turbulence. I'm very much on the indecisive side, and it's a lot harder for me to make decisions, but after I do make those, I always think about, well, what if that was the wrong decision? What if this was the right one? And how that kind of is going to impact things. I also really do rely on logic, And my decisions are based on my core values and how they're going to impact the bigger picture, looking not just at that short-term effect, like I said earlier, but at that overall long-term effect and how that's going to not only affect me, but affect everyone else around me. And while I will say I'm more on the introverted side when first meeting people, I definitely become more social and outgoing, and I open up a lot more when I feel comfortable with someone. Which is why I agree to an extent. And I've also noticed that I've started to become more laid back, carefree, and social the older I've gotten. The more I've been exposed to life in different parts of life, I've definitely seen myself grow in this area and kind of break out of my shell a little, which is why I slightly disagree with this evaluation. Next, moving right along onto the influence on decision making, basically relating it back to the chapter, I chose the vigilant interaction theory. This theory focuses on 4 main concepts, or questions, if you will. Basically, what problem or issue in the current state of affairs need to be addressed? 2, what do we want to achieve or accomplish in addressing the problem? 3, what are the choices available to us? And finally, 4, what are the positive and negative aspects of these choices? So this theory emphasizes the importance of groups addressing those 4 essential functions of problem analysis, goal setting, identifying alternatives, and evaluating consequences. And it also really hones in on encouraging groups to explore the potential effects of their choices, which can definitely be related back to INFJT. I saw that with myself and with this specific personality, you tend to value insight, purpose, and thoughtful planning, which is seen in both the VIT and INFJT. They tend to gravitate towards reflective and comprehensive processes and encourage evaluating decisions from multiple long-term ethical perspectives. VIT also focuses on a need for collaboration and open-minded dialogue, which aligns with the need for harmony and meaningful contributions that we see in INFJT. That's a mouthful. But you can see a lot of mirrors between the two, and you can really relate the vigilant interaction theory to INFJT personalities and how they make decisions, not only in the workplace, but in the real world. Next, moving on to potential barriers that we may see. Some that I found were sensitivity to criticism, reluctance to opening up to others, that perfectionism, avoiding the ordinary because they're so creatively minded, and they can also be prone to burnout, very indecisive, intensely private, and overlook important details. So relating this specifically to the workplace, I wanted to find a kind of specific example that you can relate to that work environment, and I decided on working with opposites. I definitely think when an INFJT is working with other personalities, such as ESTP or ENTJ, these are going to be those more spontaneous and assertive personality types, that it can affect them harshly. They may prefer quicker action-driven decision-making, which does not reflect an INFJT because they like to have time for reflection, which can lead to misunderstandings or tension if we do not communicate clearly. So it's important to acknowledge the differences in order to find a common ground. So wrapping everything up, some final thoughts. This activity definitely helped me understand my personal strengths and weaknesses in decision making and helped kind of shine a light on those. It reminded me to balance emotion and logic when making decisions and just in my everyday life, and also promoted how to work on being more open to other perspectives. I definitely think that's something that I personally can work on and can apply to my life, and I'm super excited to apply my new knowledge in team settings, work environments, and future leadership opportunities. That's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your day.